My name is Eddie Guevara. I have been a collector of magic and novelties for the last 35 to 40 years. I actually started when I was 8 years old. In 1989, I used to own a magic shop that was called House of the Unusual Products. I took the House of the Unusual to the next level around 1991 when I decided to search out for the original Fun Factory. Fun Factory was picked by me at the time because Fun Factory was basically it was a company that was not too far from where I live right now. It was set, and I noticed that it had ran full-page ads in the comic book, but I found it easier to track down this company due to the fact that the company was in the northeast New Jersey, and it would be easier for me to go to the court. It was easier for me to travel. So I started seeking the owner. I went to the court, I got his name, I actually called him up on a Sunday morning. At first, the wife, when she picked up the phone and I told her who I was and I was searching for this guy who was doing Fun Factory, she was kind of skeptical and she's like, okay, but I noticed though that when she did not hang up the phone, I said to myself, I must have hit the jackpot here, because I had tried several other people. Automatically they would tell me, no, it's not me, it's not me. But this particular person actually listened to my conversation with her. She stood for a while and she said, let me get my husband on the phone. So I knew already I had the right person. The fact that I called him up on a Sunday morning, it was kind of strange because the Fun Factory had not been out of business, about 15 years. This is happening now in 1989, so therefore it had gone out of business like in 1971, I think, give or take a few. Anyway, he decided, the fact that I had called him on a Sunday, he decided to meet up with me. And about 4 or 5 months from the time of the actual phone call, we started the first, we actually restarted the original Fun Factory. And this time, with the help of him and some of the original advertisement or advertising agencies he would use, we ran a full-page ad in DC Comics in the the fall of 1993. I believe it appeared in mostly the issues that were around the Christmas season, between October and November, but I remember it did have Christmas, there was the one issue had a Superman writing a letter, and it was kind of like a Christmas thing. So I'm figuring it happened towards the end of fall in 1993. Anyway, we started the company, and it was amazing. The ad came out, and I was getting all these orders. But my biggest enjoyment of this or the biggest pleasure I got from this was the fact that I was able to bring back my childhood memories with the 7-foot ghost that I had purchased as a child. And this is the first time that I was allowed to resell the ghost, and I thought that was great because, wow, like, you got to sell the best item I ever owned. I think my obsessions began with most of my novelties at around the age of 8. At the age of 8 years old, I grew up in Manhattan. Therefore, my mom really didn't let me go outside and do much. I stayed around the area, and well, anyway, she did let me go to the comic book store in the corner. And there was actually it was more like a grocery store that had comic books in these old boxes, and they were like $0.25 a piece. Some of them was 10 cents or whatever the guy wanted to charge, but they were filled with ads. And I would take those comic books, and one of the things I would do with them is I would just rummage through. I didn't care about really honestly reading them. It was a lot of them were Richie Rich. I did like, though. I did read Richie Rich and Casper, and those were my favorite. The Sad Sack, all the Harvey Publications. But I did have an issue when it came with Superman and Batman, because they were kind of like a little hard for me to read. Now, I'm only 8 years old. I didn't really get into them that much, but I did love them because of their ads. That they had the 7-foot ghost, the hideous vampire bat, the Polaris nuclear submarine, the Joy Buzzer, Honor House. Well, Honor House, that to me was the company. Man, they offer you the 7-foot monsters, the ghosts. They offered you the thing that you wanted. So one of the things is that for being a collector for more than 40 years as a collector, I think most of my influence came from a gentleman by the name of Forrest J. Ackerman. Now, I was introduced to Forrest J. Ackerman in my mid-teenage years when I remember reading about him in one of the famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. I used to again buy Famous Monsters due to the fact they had so many advertisements. I wanted to order the stuff from them, and I was obsessed with it. You know, I was so obsessed with ordering stuff that I would basically, my biggest thing as a child was waiting for the mailman. My goodness, if anybody got the mail before me, boy, that would make me upset. Which is funny because to this very day, me and my wife and imagine my oldest daughter try to see who gets the mail first. There are times when I see a package coming my way, and one of the things I actually do is when the package comes my way is I follow the mailman 2-3 blocks until I get it. If it doesn't arrive, say UPS brings me a package and I'm not there, oh boy, you know what I do? I go, I call the UPS station, find out when they're open to, when is the UPS delivery guy going to come back, and as soon as I find out, guess what I do? I jump in my car, I drive to UPS, and I pick up my package. Doesn't matter what the package is, it's just a fact that my obsession in collecting, it's deep. It's not just about collecting, it's deep. I love it. The fact of getting a package in the mail, the fact of opening it up, seeing what it is what actually made me what I am today. That's why I do mail order. That's why the House of the Unusual came into being. I feel that growing up in an age when things were so much different from now, you know, an age, well, a lot of people look at it, let's just say this, a lot of people look at that time and they'll say, well, you know, there was a lot of fraudulent ads. You know, they sold you the sub and you thought you were going to get this and get that, and in reality you didn't. But the truth is that I love being, I guess the correct word to say is, it felt good to receive items that were bigger than life. Even though you didn't really get the item, but the imagination that you had, the waiting for that item, made it worth it. I never felt I was defrauded by anybody. In fact, those people destined my life to be what it is today. Because without them, my childhood would not be the same. The fact that they offered me things that were beyond or bigger than life, and at the end it was actually an outright fraud, I personally take that and treasure that. Which is funny to say it that way, but that's the way I feel. Now, a while back in about 2000 and, I remember 2003, 2004, there was a time in my life when doing mail order had kind of ceased, where I wasn't really doing much in mail order. And I got a call from my brother in Florida, and he suggested, hey Eddie, why don't you do your mail order business again? Now, I said to him, well, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm actually going to do that. So what I did is I went ahead and I contacted the company that I knew back about 1989 or 88, late 88. There was a toy fair in the Jacob Javits, so the International Toy Trade Show, as it's called. And I had met the owner of SS Adams there. And he had taken me around the entire SS Adams plant. You know, he gave me a tour of the place, which was very amazing, not really knowing me, whatever. This is the grandson of SS Adams. And he basically gave me a tour of the place, and I loved it. It was great. So the first thing that came to my mind is, if I'm going to do business again, I'm going to start with the SS Adams company. Now, starting with the SS Adams company, one thing I could say about was the fact that I spoke to the owner, but it wasn't the grandson of SS Adams. It was a new guy who had purchased the SS Adams company. And, well, you know, we kind of hit it off, and for the next 6, 7, 8 months, I think it was, we were talking on the phone every night for hours. I remember my wife saying, are you kidding me? Again? But anyway, we were talking about how, with today's society, and the way things are, how much collectibles today have gone up in value, and how many people are actually seeking to buy this stuff. In fact, I remember him telling me, did you see, well, like, for example, the holy grail of mail order, the Polaris nuclear submarine. He says, if you put Polaris nuclear sub in Google's and you do an image thing, you get the first 4 or 5 pages of Google's all about the Polaris nuclear sub. And I said to him, you know, that's amazing. It's amazing what people, you know, how people are, how important it is for, especially for the older folks, the people my age. I mean, not that I'm that old, but I'm saying I'm not that young either. But the thing is that it brings back childhood memories for us, and that's what makes it important. It makes life good. It makes life fun to live, you know. Every time I can buy a toy from the past and all that stuff, and put it together, or, you know, or even the fact that I'm just going to receive what I thought or didn't get as a child, it's cool. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to say this, but I even have done stupid things. I've ordered things from my own company just to get the product, even though I'm shipping it to myself. Now, that's bizarre. But, you know what? It's fun. And regardless what people say out there, gotta enjoy stuff like that, because it makes life worth living. And, you know, first you put God first, of course, and then you put yourself in a situation where you do what you got to do. But everything is hectic. I mean, you got a job, you got a family to feed and everything, and you need some time to yourself. And the way I find time is just by taking old comic books and looking through all the advertisements in them. Well, this whole story came about where, after speaking with the guy from S.S. Adams, the story that I'm saying right now about the novelties and the obsession and the new resurgence among people and among collectors out there, how people are willing to pay all these crazy prices. He told me of a gentleman by the name of Kirk Damaris, who had apparently done some work for the S.S. Adams Company. In fact, at the time he mentioned to me that he had done the packaging, the new packaging for the S.S. Adams that had not been changed in years. And he showed me some samples, and I said, wow, this guy's like really good. So I communicated with Kirk through email, but I never actually talked with him. About a couple of months down the road went by, and, you know, after a year or two went by, and I never, like I said, I knew about Kirk and he knew about me, but we never actually talked, spoke on the phone, or did more than just send emails to each other. In the process of that, one day, there was, lo and behold, the Holy Grail mail order, or the second Holy Grail, the 7-foot ghost from Johnson Smith Company, appears on the internet in an eBay auction. This is October of last year, of 2010, October 15th to be exact. When that happened, I said to myself, wait a second, I thought I had the only one. Now, the ghost that I had originally bought was in 1972, and it was from the Honor House Company. But unfortunately, you know, as a child, the balloon blew. I then ordered a second one from the Melton Company. This one, you know, like people would say, well, hey, didn't you get ripped off the first time? Would you get ripped off again? Well, guess what? I did. And I was happy for it, because the second one I kept, not that I kept, I'm sorry, the second one, when I received it, I took the package, I kept it sealed, and to this very day, it not only does it hold a great part of my life and in my heart, but I actually paid $122 to have it framed professionally. It's in a black frame with glass, like a shadow box. And I've shown pictures of it on eBay. Like right now, I couldn't really show you because it's so well preserved. Like I really put it where it's not going to get ruined. But that item, I was offered $5,000 for about I would say about 2.5 years ago. Some collector in the, not in the North Bergen, in the North Jersey area, came to me in a trade show I was doing. And he offered me, would you sell it for $5,000? I said, you know what? It sounds crazy. It's a lot of money. But I can't. It's a part of my life. It was the first toy that my mom actually let me order through the mail, even though it's a second one because the first one exploded. But I do still have the original. The very first one, I still have that with the envelope, but it's missing the balloon, you know. I still have the original plastic sheet, and the instructions, unfortunately, are gone for the original. But with the Melton Company, which was ordered like 6 months after the first, that's still intact, and it's in perfect condition. So anyway, this here goes into the air, and I said to my friend, listen, I have to win this, because if I have, getting back to the story with my original, I actually contacted Sotheby's, and they told me to send the check for like $29, whatever. They did research on it. They sent me back a certificate saying, you have the only one known to exist. Wow, I'm happy. I'm the only one who's got the ghost. This is going to make me popular, right? Well, anyway, lo and behold, here comes this other ghost on eBay, and what do? I said, I got to win this. Little did I know that Mr. Kirk Damaris on the other side of the horizon there was doing the same thing as me. We were both looking at the ghost. Again, I had not spoken with Kirk Damaris over the phone or met him, but we communicated and knew who each other were through email. And of course through the S.S. Adams Company. That was kind of the connection between the two of us. Anyway, this was really exciting though, because we go on this late night war over the ghost, and we start bidding on each other, and next thing I know, I wound up paying $378 for the ghost, or $378 or $388, something like that with the shipping. Sorry, Kirk, you couldn't beat me, but I got it. But one thing that did happen though is it sealed the relationship between me and a man as good as Kirk. In fact, I guess through the process of losing the ghost and whatever, he asked me if he could come up here, because at that moment somebody had given him a contract to write a book about novelties, and I had already been trying to write a book about novelties, but you know what? I procrastinated. I had a guy who was actually going to do the thing for me, but you know what? I said, I told Kirk actually on the phone, Kirk, if you want to do it and you want to write the book, you know, you did a great job with Life of the Party for S.S. Adams. Go ahead and do it, buddy. My house is open to you, I told him. Well, he got on a plane, he flew up here and spent the weekend with me. It was one of the 3 greatest days I've ever had in my life. And not the fact that just Kirk was up here. It was fun because I was able to open all my toys as a kid. I was able to look for all my novelties, and it was fun. I mean, here I got a chance again with another guy who was just like me to buy and collect things. Now that's what it's all about, you know? Anyway, as the process went, Kirk was able to publish a book, and the name of the book is Mail Order Mysteries, and it just came out October 11th. It's a great, fantastic book, and inside that book are all my collectibles, including the ghost that Kirk lost. But you know what? Kirk was so excited to see that ghost. He saw it, and for the first time in my life that I met somebody that I trusted, and a person that I could really become close to, like a brother, I made sure I made him a copy of that exact ghost the way he wanted, and I just let him have it. And I thought that was, I guess, kind of like saying, hey, listen, you lost it. I don't want to give you the original just yet, but I'm going to give you the exact same thing, a copy of it exactly the way it is. You could not tell the difference. But at least you know you have it, and you know what to expect. Now, that was an interesting story between me and Kirk. Now, why is the ghost the most important thing in my life? Why is it that I love it so much? Well, here's what I could say. One, as a child, there were 3 ads. There was the Melton Company ghost, which was really elaborate. You know, they showed the monster face on it. There was the Johnson Smith, which had the big little ghost chasing the little guy in the front, which, you know, they used to call it the U-Control ghost. And then there was the Honor House ad. The Honor House, well, it didn't show much, like kind of stick figures, a ghost shooting up, darting, and a guy going like this back. But for some reason, the fact that it didn't show much left more to the imagination. I was able to imagine what the item was. And by doing that, or not it just, let's just say the item made my imagination run wild. And that's what did it for me. In fact, to this day, I know, in fact, as I'm here, I can tell you that the actual ad reads, scare the daylights out of your victim as this terrifying life-size ghost hovers and darts over him. Can be controlled up to 50 feet away, so you can hide while watching your victim. And here's the kicker. Complete instructions included. Now, you can take a comic book and read what I just read to you exactly the way it is. It'll say scary life size on the top, monster ghost, obeys your commands. That's the kicker, to obeys my commands. Scare the daylights, and then as I read it to you. So I guess that should impress you that it's memorized. That's how much of an obsession I have and how much the product means to me. And as I just said, somebody actually was willing to pay $5,000 for it. Insane, huh? But they were willing to pay $5,000, of course, because they saw the frame and everything, and they saw that it's unique in its way. That is what makes me a collector. The passion, the way I save my things, the way I can say I have every product from comic books. I hunted down, I've left paper trails. Paper trails that go as far as Chicago. I've actually driven to Chicago just to find out who was the original Melton Company owner. Why? Because there was an item. See, growing up, there was an item that, see, the Melton Company went under two names. They went under Guaranteed Distributors, and they went under the Melton Company. The thing is, when it went under the Melton Company, they sold the 7-foot ghost, they sold the hideous, blood-curdling vampire bat, and they also sold how to build a 7-foot monster robot. Well, here's the sad part of my life. When I was a child, after, I guess, the ghost didn't really meet my needs, and I guess in school, you know, kids would bother you and stuff, I wanted something kind of like the flip video that Kirk, which in fact, if anybody's interested in the flip video, they can actually log into thelandofsecrets.com, which is one of my sites. That's thelandofsecrets.com, and there's a clip of the flip video that I put in there, so you can just go there and look at it, and you can actually see a picture of my actual ghost. This is my original, of course. So those 3 items that they sold, there was another company called Abracadabra Magic Shop, and they sold the same exact 7-foot monster robot plans, but their monster kind of looked like a Frankenstein. It was like this, and for some reason, you know, I'm a kid. I like the Frankenstein better than the one that there's a kid inside the body. You know, like I said, hey, you know what? This Frankenstein is cool. So I looked at both ads, and here I made a mistake that to this day I regret. I ordered the Abracadabra Magic Shop one. Why do I regret that? Because to this day, that's the reason I went to Chicago. I went to Florida by my mother's house. I tracked down 3 post offices in Florida. In Chicago, I tracked down 2 locations. I went to the banks surrounding the post office, asking them if there was a guy who in 1971 had an account there. Well, I found out one thing about the Melton Company, whoever he was. I don't think he was doing much because he didn't even have a bank account. I think he must have been getting all those dollars from young kids, and who knows what he was doing. But today, maybe the guy is dead already. I've been tracking him down for 25 years to no avail. The owner from S.S. Adams and myself also went on a tracking spree trying to get this guy, and we couldn't find him either. The fact that I have all the records from the original Fun Factory, I went through the phone books and stuff, and I was trying to see if there was a possibility that I could have some information, and lo and behold, it had been before me for the last 20 years, and I was unaware of it. I had the phone number who Melton was. Boy, I was happy. Here I had a name, last name was Fields or something like that, and we started calling phone numbers. To no avail. Got nowhere, another brick wall in my life, but anyway, that is the item that I keep asking, and now I keep asking everybody. If you have a copy, if anybody out there remembers what this item was, if they ever ordered this item, I'm a true collector, man. I paid just to get a copy of it. I just want to see what it was, because the curiosity is killing me. Of all the things I've hunted down, this is the only thing that has evaded me. The only thing I can't seem to find, and my life is not full until I get a glimpse of it. The other thing, people say, how far will a person also, which I kind of answered already in my other parts of the question, but how far would a person actually travel to get an item? Okay. My story goes like this. And about 4 years ago, oh no, 2 years ago, a little bit before this Johnson Smith Ghost appeared on eBay, which I won. Sorry, Kirk. I I really hate, I kind of like to drill that in to tell Kirk, you know, don't mess around with me and eBay, you know. But I love the guy, and I only do it jokingly. I hope if he listens to this, he will not get mad at me because I make fun of him. But the thing that really, really got me was when when I started the original Fun Factory, I was able to get a hold of the CEO at the time for the Johnson Smith Company, who had been running the Johnson Smith Company for about 40 years. Well, not 40 years, 40 years to this day, but back in the day when he was there for like 20 years or whatever. And I contacted him and I asked him if he had any information of the ghost. Well, when he found out who the owner of the Fun Factory was, the owner of the Fun Factory had tried to hire him to work for the Fun Factory in the 1970s. So therefore, we kind of had a bind. We bonded. We bonded on the phone. Excuse me, the word is bonded. We bonded on the phone, and we kind of had a little relation where I would send him like a wine bottle on Christmas and stuff like that. But I never met him, you know. So anyway, 3 years ago, give or take, I went to Florida. And I said to myself, you know what? This guy sent me the instructions, or he faxed me a copy of the instructions 20 years ago. I wonder if he can give me the actual piece of paper. That's all I want. So I called him up one morning. I said, listen, how far is Bradenton Beach from Miami Beach? He says, well, I'm about 351 miles. So I said, you know what? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to hop on my car. I'm going to drive to Bradenton Beach. You want to have lunch? He goes, you're going to drive 300? I said, yes, I am. I want to meet you. I've talked to you for 20 years. I want to meet you in person. So anyway, he goes ahead and he says, okay, let's go. I go drive down, and he was going to give me a tour of the Johnson Smith Company inside, but what he figured is, look, Eddie, it's just a warehouse. Just a warehouse. I want to see the company. But anyway, he says, just a warehouse. Why don't we just meet in a restaurant, which is about 5 miles away from the Johnson Smith, and if you want, I'll bring you over here and you can take a little tour. Well, his thing was he was going to see what he could find and give me the original artwork or whatever of the ghost, and he was going to let me have it. Anyway, drove up there, had lunch with him. Unfortunately, he actually tore his pants. He showed me where he was up in the attic, wherever it was he was looking for the thing. Well, couldn't find it, got all dirty, which was funny. But he went out of his way to do it. In fact, he spent an hour or two looking for the ghost. Could not find one darn thing. Not one darn thing. It was crazy. So I was kind of, when he told me that, I'm having lunch with him, but I didn't tell him I'm smiling and stuff, but I'm disappointed, man. I was like, I drove 400 miles just to get a piece of paper. And that's the point I'm trying to say. People will, a real collector will do whatever it takes to get the item they want. If they really want the item. With me, I wanted this item. Anyway, I got his house number. We became good friends because the fact that I drove so far to meet him intrigued him. Then, as the story goes, is little did I know that 6 months down the road or a year down the road, I was going to go with Kirk Damaris and we were going to battle it out. And I was going to get the original ghost that I went for. I mean, the artwork is gorgeous. And actually, here is the ghost. Waiting in its original package. As I could show you, I don't know if you could see it there. Original package. Here it is. Ready to get framed. In fact, I'm going to put some money into it because I also have what came with that, which is the the Johnson Smith horror record. This record was part, like in the beginning they sold it with the ghost, but you know, the fact that I have them, I want to frame them where, you know, side by side with the instructions and stuff. Besides, this to me is priceless. I will never sell this. You can offer me $20,000 and it's so precious to me, I won't let it go. I hope that what I just did and what I just spoke, I hope it can help you guys out there to be a true collector. I hope it brought fun memories of when you were a child, memories that you cannot, well, you can't get back, but you can remember. You can bring it back in your mind at least. You can relive your childhood. Having said that, again, my name is Eddie Guevara, and my website is houseoftheunusual.com. Again, thank you for watching. See you soon.